Let's bring in our next guest, who is also a legal practitioner, Chetan Mwala, joining us virtually from Rivers State. Let's talk about the controversial local government elections that are coming up at the end of the month. Ms. Mwala, thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, so let me begin with a bit of the controversial one. A few days ago, I came across a document that suggested that there was an amendment to the Rivers State local government law, or RESEC law in that sense. I stand to be corrected on which exactly, to the effect that they were suspending certain provisions that would have inhibited the sole administrator for conducting such elections as it is. Well, I reached out to everybody I know, from the State House to the National Assembly, to find out whether there was an input of the National Assembly in all of this. I don't think I got any reply to the positive. Well, let's just agree without conceding to the effect that, does the president have the power to amend a law at the subnational level under whatever guise without the input of the National Assembly given this situation, if that document is true, which I doubt whether it's true or not?
From the statement of the FCT minister, I think the document is actually true, and it actually reflects the decision of the president. Now, it was not an amendment. What he did was to suspend sections of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission law. And we are in an unusual time in Nigeria and in Rivers State. And I must tell you that everything seems to be going down the drain in the state as at today and in the country generally. Now, first of all, the president does not have powers from any law or anywhere given to him by the Constitution to suspend any part of our Constitution or any part of our laws, whether state or federal laws. The National Assembly does not also have powers to suspend any law. The National Assembly does not have power to suspend any law. The best they can do is to amend sections of the law which they think is in contravention of a particular situation. But suspending a particular law under whatever guise, they do not have such powers, inclusive of the president. And let me state clearly that, like I said, we're having a very unusual circumstance and situation where the president, through a gazette, said that he has suspended Section 2 of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission law that empowers only the president to appoint members of the Independent Electoral Commission board, the chairman and members of the commission, that he has suspended them to enable the conduct of the elections. You see, what we find today is arbitrariness. The president thinks that he can wake up in the morning and do whatever he likes and get away with it. And one of the problems I also have is that our judiciary is also not helping matters in the circumstance. Because if you look at the situation on ground in Rivers State and the declaration of state of emergency, some of us have held the opinion that the declaration of state of emergency was wrongly done. And PDP governors have gone to court challenging this particular situation. But up till today, we have not heard anything from the Supreme Court with respect to this issue of critical national importance. The Supreme Court has been quiet about it. And it's a sad situation. It has placed a lot of us and the entire country in great turmoil, which is something that is actually avoidable. But it is unfortunately the situation we have found ourselves. Let me say this clearly, and let me also give you a little breakdown of the activities that have happened over time in Rivers State. See, from where I stand, I hold strongly the view that this president has something against Rivers people. Because when you look at what the president is doing, initially we're thinking that this is about 2027 elections, but it's looking like it's beyond 2027 election. It's looking like the president is going for
if I may butt in, my apologies, Mr. Anwala. So that for clarity, when did the president do this suspension via a gazette? Because I don't want to take the words of Nyesom Wike. Nyesom Wike is not the constitution of Nigeria, it's not the law. I want to be sure we're speaking to facts so that we don't make allegations against the president or the authorities that are unfounded. At what point was this suspension via gazette done? And can it be done without the input of the National Assembly? As a matter of fact, local government elections are not an emergency. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around the common sense around this. So question number one, are we sure that this is fact? First and foremost, not just words of Mr. Nyesom Wike. And if it is fact, does the president have the power to do it? By law. Let's speak to law.
Now, I can assure you that it is fact, because for the past since last week, that gazette has been circulating all over social media. The gazette dated 22nd July 2025 has been circulating all over social media, and the presidency have not seen a reason to either refute it, to say that it was not actually from the presidency. So we have reasons, and especially Nyesom Wike being a part of the government of President Tinubu has also confirmed to the fact that the president has powers and has so also carried out such actions to suspend sections of our laws in Rivers State. Now, it also shows that that gazette is actually official, because the presidency has not issued any statement, they have not refuted it, and members of the administration have also accepted that that is actually coming from the president. Now, I must state clearly that the president does not have power, like I stated earlier on, to suspend by laws, to suspend any section of our laws. It doesn't have such powers by whatever guise, because it is only a court of competent jurisdiction that can actually say no. XYZ sections of the law will create hardship and will create injustice in our society, or is inconsistent with any law that is actually relevant. So the actions of Mr. President is generally ultra various. And I must also drag the attention that any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution is, to the extent of its inconsistency, null and void. And the Constitution in any way does not also empower the president to suspend any section of our law. Now, to the National Assembly. The National Assembly took over the legislative business of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Now, in taking over the legislative business of the House of Assembly, the National Assembly has not made any pronouncement with respect to the said gazette or with respect to the amendment of that said section of the law to allow them carry out the actions they have carried out. So, on what basis is the president carrying out the actions that is carrying out against Rivers people? To tell you simply that there's basically a sinister plan or aggression against Rivers people that is being carried out by this particular president.
And you know, Mr. Chetam, that gazette, reported gazette, might have been the follow-up to Mr. Nyesom Wike's comments from his media chat last week, when he said that the 1961 Emergency Act of 1961 empowers the Governor General and by extension the President to suspend certain laws during emergencies. And I've done since last week, when we began this conversation, an aggregate of opinions from legal practitioners about this particular position expressed by Mr. Nyesom Wike, just to understand, for those of us who are not learned, the implications of the actions of this current administration as far as Rivers is concerned. You may want to react to that as well. Let's just know the position of legal practitioners on that as it relates to Mr. President's suspension of democratic rule and by extension the coming local government elections in Rivers State. But as you do that as well, now that we're getting close to knowing that the actions are ultra-vires, it's a matter of public interest. What should those who are affected in Rivers State be doing at this point in time? What chances do they have in a court of law if they decide to challenge it?
Now the truth of the matter is that a 1961 act that is inconsistent with our constitution cannot override our constitution. I refer you to section 1 sub 3 of the constitution, cannot override our constitution in any way. And when you look at the said act quoted by the minister, it's quite actually laughable that that act would override our constitution. It's never possible. Now, let us also ask ourselves this particular question. What is now the hope of the average Rivers man on the street? Some persons from the civil society organization have approached the court, asking the court to make interpretations with respect to the actions of the president vis-a-vis sections of the constitution that have been contravened by the president. But sadly, some of us do not have this confidence in our courts today, because the courts, as it is today, is not actually taking the bull by the horn to dealing decisively with some of these issues that have bedeviled us. And I must state clearly that it's a pain in the ass of Rivers people and in the faces of Rivers people what exactly is happening, because this administration has decided to defecate on our constitution and defecate on the faces of Rivers people. In the light of everything that is happening currently in Rivers State, I must tell you, from the declaration of the state of emergency, I have said severally that the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State was unnecessary because the Supreme Court had settled all the political impasses that led to the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State. So there was absolutely no need for that declaration. Now we moved, and you look at some of the issues that led to the crisis, or that raised up tension, that led to the president declaring a state of emergency. You would also discover that the Supreme Court also dealt with them decisively, including the local government issue and the 90 days issue about the local government election. And this same president haven't spent billions of naira in the previous month to conduct local government election. Mr. President is allowing us to spend another billions of naira, wasting Rivers money and Rivers resources, wasting Rivers money and Rivers resources to making sure that we have a local government to protect whose interest, to whose benefit is all these things that they are pushing through. And you have to say, why are they doing all these things against Rivers people? Why Rivers people at this time?
Okay. Mr. Chetam, is an ongoing controversy has just filled my mouth. Conversation, I should say. Chetam Wala is a lawyer joining us virtually from Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. We trust that this is not over yet. As we build up to the elections, more conversations are coming through. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.